and Michelle Malkin joins us. Michelle, you know, ever since the president was reelected a couple of nights ago, we are now in a Thelma and Louise mode. We're heading for that cliff. And now you've got in the front seat Harry Reid and John Boehner. They say they're going to get along. They're going to get something done. What do you think?
It's the return of Beltway Kabuki theater, and I think everybody in Washington feels obligated to pay lip service to bipartisanship when it appears that, unfortunately, a majority of Americans voted for more of the same old, same old. You know, we heard this recycled rhetoric from Obama about how we're not red states or blue states, we're the United States.
Same
that's
as 08.
certainly not, yeah, that's right, recycled rhetoric. And a lot of the rhetoric that we're hearing now is recycled as well. My friends at Hot Air pointed out that that although the Beltway media is making a big deal out of these so-called concessionary noises out of John Boehner's mouth, that it's the same standard template that he read from back in April of last year and November of last year and June of this year. And it's sort of a misinterpretation to say that he's advocating any kind of tax increases. He put the emphasis on revenue, but I think that the Republicans have a problem because if there's a stalemate, Obama wins by default because the current rates will lapse automatically.
Right.
Yeah,
and everybody's tax cuts.
So do you take them? I get the sense you're not taking these politicians at their word. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so many Americans are so frustrated. They don't want to see John Boehner and Harry Reid stand up and say the same old anymore, do they?
No, they don't. And I would say that, I mean, there is still half of this country. I met thousands of conservative activists, limited government advocates across this country over the last year. And they certainly do not want to hear or see the House Republican majority capitulating on these important matters. You know, what I'd love to see is when we get to those kabuki games about the debt limit, for once, for the Republicans in Washington to call this administration bluff.
All right, let's go over what went right. You have about 20 things that went right, and they begin with?
Yes, well, we do still have that majority in the House, and I think that we need some bucking up here in the conservative movement on the right. We had a extremely devastating outcome on Tuesday night, but the fact is that there are many, many great advocates on Capitol Hill still, many of them who stayed there, many of them who were reelected, and we need to make sure that they do their jobs. We have control of the House Republican majority, and there are many committees that have done an incredible job of holding corruptocrats' feet to their fire.
And you do see, as you see the map behind you, Ted Cruz stands out. You really think Paul Ryan's a star. Those are some of the people that have stood out so far.
And we got the whole list at michellemalkin.com. Michelle, you're sitting out in Colorado right now, and they did have a ballot initiative. Have you? How soon will you be able to go and buy your legal pot?
I don't have an ounce in my pocket right now.
Yeah, sure, that's what you tell us.
You want metric.
That's right. Yes, we live in the Choom state now. It's going to be a while. Yeah, the federal government, of course, is still treating marijuana, medical or otherwise, as a Schedule I drug. And the Democratic governor here, John Hickenlooper, has said that it could be up many, many months before they write the regulations and come up with a way to license the facilities that will sell these things. Our initiative makes it possible to grow up to 6 plants in your own home. So there's also all sorts of questions about enforcement and regulation. And I think it will be interesting to see how much prosecutorial discretion is exercised here.
I mean, it's going to add to a whole new mess. I know some people think that this is a good thing because they say if it's legal, it's going to free up cops to make other arrests, okay? And then they say you can also tax it, so it's going to bring in monetary gain for the state. My question this morning is, first of all, shouldn't they be cutting spending before you move to legalizing pot to make up your budget deficit?
Yeah, I would say that was probably one of the more disingenuous arguments. The thing to understand about a state like Colorado, of course, is very purple. And it wasn't just sort of your left-wing Soros billionaires that helped fund and push this thing through. It was libertarian conservative think tanks like the Independence Institute. We already have medical marijuana here, and even in the Springs, around every corner. It's like there's a Starbucks and there's a secret stash medical marijuana store. So it's going to be a huge thicket of enforcement problems, and the the tension between the federal government and what the people have decided here has already been played out in the handful of states that have passed similar measures.
That's right. It wasn't just Colorado. It was also Washington State legalized pot.
That's right.
All right. Michelle Malkin, always a pleasure to see you back here next Thursday.
You bet. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.